for the Susan Taylor Podcast, where we discuss the yoga of mind, medicine, and healing. Author of Feeling Good Matters, Sexual Radiance, and the Vital Energy Program, Dr. Taylor imparts authentic knowledge and practical tools that inspire, educate, and empower us to be a healing force for positive change. So join us and take your life and our planet to the next level.
Hello and welcome to episode 12, Is Mindfulness Enough? As I say, when noticing is not enough. Today I'd like to talk about mindfulness and what it means. I've gotten some emails from some of you out in the audience that have asked me about mindfulness and is that a good way to get started in meditation training? So I thought to make today's episode about Is Mindfulness Enough? In today's episode, I'd like to talk about mindfulness and what it means, and discuss the benefits of having an essential component of concentration in order to create the change that's needed, and provide you with some tips to get started on the path of bringing mindfulness into focus. I'm looking forward to speaking about some of these great topics today that actually came from the audience. So without further ado, let's get started. Over the past decade, our media channels have been flooded with articles in management and the literature proclaiming the marvels of mindfulness. It's been embraced by celebrities, business leaders, politicians, and even athletes. Also, it's been recommended by doctors, the clergy, psychotherapists, and it's even been utilized in prisons. We have best-selling books and apps touting the benefits of mindfulness as well as meditation. When you Google mindfulness, you're going to get millions and millions of hits. So I'd like to ask you, are we in the midst of a mindfulness revolution? I have found that the movement presents mindfulness as the panacea for all ills ranging from individual unhappiness to lack of work productivity. And if this is so, can the claims be justified? Well, we know that mindfulness can improve quality of life. But I believe that one needs to know both present moment awareness to see what's happening. People call that mindfulness. I like to use the word awareness because I feel that awareness accompanies mindfulness as well as beyond mindfulness. We do need both present moment awareness, as I just mentioned, but also the focus to create the change that is needed actually to improve the situation. This is where I'm coming from when I say just being mindful is not enough for where we are today. Because just being mindful does not have any power to create a force of positive change. Let's first define mindfulness. Mindfulness is a mental skill that cultivates awareness in the here and now. It can serve as a means to help you take a skillful action. Unfortunately, popular mindfulness training often equates mindfulness practice with only observation, leading one to become self-absorbed in themselves. It certainly can lead to compassion and understanding of situations at hand, but this awareness must go one step further to serve the greater good of our existence. You know, the ancient tradition of mindfulness does indeed take that into account. However, the current proactive training somehow gets segmented without taking this holistic view. In other words, what I'm saying is mindfulness training from the ancients called Vipassana was developed with wisdom traditions. It contextualized the practice within a moral universe, so it was a greater, bigger practice. The practice did support becoming more effective mentally in order to live ever more virtuously and serve to create the positive change in the self, as well as extending out to communities and the nation. These were the ancient traditions and intention. And this message does remain relevant today. So why is mindfulness not enough? Well, I put together some points just to use as examples as a consideration as to why we do need to bring some focus into it. One example, mindfulness can help you notice women living in the villages throughout India in poverty. In fact, I've been to India and I've seen the poverty. And yes, I was mindful of the women in these villages that, barely had enough to eat and enough to support their children. But mindfulness won't change her condition, nor will it fill my heart. In fact, I felt very, very sad going through that at many times, feeling the compassion, but I felt helpless, in other words. So I thought, well, I have two options here. If I want to put money forward, use money to donate to a humanitarian project that possibly is supporting women. Or take my time and set the intention and begin and lead a cause to develop jobs for those women to gain economic freedom. Due to my own lack of experience in working in that capacity, developing jobs, the first option would be a better option, to donate to a humanitarian project that will support women so that they can become economically stable. So my point was being mindful of that, or having the awareness of what's going on. And then if I have the means to do something about that, I can work within my capacity to do that. So I'm focusing my intention and my attention to do something for it. Another point I thought of, if you're in an environment, let's say there's people that are disruptive, or if you're a teacher and you have kids running all over the classroom or all over the schoolyard, or you're a mom with some toddlers running around, or you're at a daycare working with kids and feel like everybody's out of control. It's the end of the day. Maybe they've had a little too much sugar. Well, instead of losing your centeredness and escalating into drama with everyone being in chaos, when you practice an awareness or a mindfulness, you're more likely to stay present so you can offer patience and comfort. But let's add something in addition. You're aware, you're mindful, but if you have focus, you can see where the problem is, and you can actually give a firm direction and discipline to that group, say, of children. So you focus your intention and attention and take action to create a positive change, to move the energy field of that room in the direction that's conducive to creating a positive outcome for all. Again, you're able to focus your mind and not get caught in the tumultuous environment that's happening right there. So that's another point. Another point I could bring up, because I tried to think of some points, why is mindfulness not enough, and how can we move beyond mindfulness with an essential component of concentration? Let's suppose we actually see cruelty towards another human being or another group of human beings, and we see that all over the world right now. And I feel myself, we see it, but noticing isn't enough. We have to, as a group, a collective consciousness, take action with a focused intent to protect ourselves, of course. You're not going to go in and break something up because your life will be taken. We know that. We've seen it in the past. But we need to do something to intervene, to stop the perpetrators from doing more harm to others in the community. We need to focus our intent. Our dollars are very important in this case. If we know that some product is being developed where people are not being treated well, we can stop spending dollars. When we hold back our economic force, when we hold back our economic means, we can create a lot of change in the environment. So if we know that clothing that we buy, there are children that are being put in factories, we can stop buying that. That's what I mean by being focused to create that change. It's not enough to just be aware of it. We must do something once we are aware of it. We also know that mindfulness supports emotional balance and can help us stay present, even when reality takes us with pain. We have pain in our environment, maybe pain to our physical body, emotional body. Well, usually when you have psychological pain, it's going to be manifested in the body anyway. When we're flooded with feelings and thoughts, being aware and having that mindful presence can help with that. We do know that. But we can take it one step further. When we train our mind to stay on track and really learn to focus, when we have that skill of focus, we can redirect these thoughts and these feelings that are flooding our mind field. That's why I don't like to use the word mindfulness. I like to use the word awareness, because mind indicates thoughts. So when we can redirect our awareness, it can help assist us in any situation, our own personal situation, and possibly a situation that's far away from us. We have the capacity. Focus is a clear force. The longer you can hold your force, the longer you can focus an intent, or the longer you can create, the more powerful your change is for yourself as well as for others. Focus is a living force. Keep this in mind. When we focus, we create a living force. And when we learn to put it in a positive direction, it lends itself to positive change. That's why we need to practice mindfulness in focus. Mindfulness is not enough. We need to take that energy of mindfulness, put it into focus so that it becomes a force. And if it's positive, it's a force of change within ourselves, our communities, and our nation. The ancient tradition of mindfulness does indeed take this into account. I mentioned the current trainings that are out there, lose that holistic view. They don't take the entire Vipassana mindfulness practice. They take a segment out. It's just using the moment of being present within ourselves. But we must take it out for the moral aspect of the entire universe. It'll help us become more effective mentally in order to live even more virtuously and serve the greater good and create the positive change in the self, our families, our community, and our nation. And this was the message of the ancient traditions, and this message does remain relevant today. So applying mindfulness in real time takes familiarity of regular practice. Training your mind regularly strengthens your mental fitness, just as running on a treadmill prepares you for the race of life. Practicing mindfulness or awareness, whatever word you'd like to use, improves your ability to find and follow a moral compass. Putting it with focus allows us to stay present, contributing to a skillful and compassionate action. Moving into positive change with focused awareness, well, mindfulness is a good start. And as I said, I prefer to say let's all become aware. Awareness training is a more broader concept that takes us out of our heads and into our hearts. Awareness takes us out of our heads. We want to be out of the mind and into our hearts. When we learn to focus this awareness, then we become the force of positive change within ourselves as well. Again, I'm saying it over and over again, our families and our communities. I can't emphasize this enough. It's a new year and we can do this together. To get started, I suggest learn how to meditate with a systematic approach. I teach meditation and there are other people that teach meditation. get a skillful, systematic approach using focus as the core anchor for this. Because meditation is a skill that brings mindfulness into focus and trains the mind to be clear, tranquil, and powerful. And the process starts with learning to sit. When we learn to sit with steadiness and comfort, we learn to still the mind, and that creates the groundwork for you to start training the mind to focus. Without a steady seat, the mind will not become steady. Then we learn to breathe using the diaphragm. Why do we use diaphragmatic breathing? In order to activate the nervous system. If your nervous system is not stable, if it's not powerful, you can't work with the mind. It must start groundwork upward. Then we learn to relax. And there are 5 levels of relaxation, not just relaxing the body. The body is one level. We must learn to relax the nervous system. We must learn to relax our emotional and psychological well-being, as well as our spiritual well-being. When we're spiritually relaxed, we know our purpose in life. A solid, systematic meditation practice allows this to unfold for you. And then we practice awareness on our breath, bringing our focus further and further and deeper into finding out who we are. And then we practice focus. And you could practice focus by counting 1 to 5 and 5 to 1. That's what we use in our meditation trainings. Or you can use mantra. Mantra is an anchor for the mind. And the most general mantra and the most profound mantra working with the breath is the so-hum mantra. So on the inhale, hum on the exhale. That is the natural sound of the breath and brings your mind and body into perfect balance and also trains focus. When we learn to focus the mind, we create the powerful vortex, I like to say, or the beam. It's almost like, would you rather be a light bulb in life, or do you want to be a laser beam for your life? I'd rather be a laser beam and light the pathway where I can get to the goal. And that goal is to be a positive force of change so that we can serve humanity as a whole. And so that the children and the children to come can benefit from what we create. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. And if you'd like to be notified weekly for the new podcast, please subscribe. Go to susantaylor.org and you can click on the podcast to subscribe. Or you can go to what's available, our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or even TuneIn. Contact us on susantaylor.org with any questions or comments or feedback. It was your feedback that brought us Is Mindfulness Enough Today? So thank you for listening. And remember, the Susan Taylor podcast does come out every week. And your questions and comments are read by me, and I will put them into the podcast. So something you might want to hear, let me know. And until next time, remain calm.